Good evening and welcome to another retro review. Hello, David. Hello, Sean.
Hello there, John.
Hey, John. Great to be here.
Good to see you guys. Welcome, Brett, mate. He's on the chat nice and early. Hopefully pick up some more people in the chat as we go along. Don't be shy. You are allowed to talk to us. And we are streaming vertically as well as horizontally, just in case anyone was worried that we forgot it this week. So we are good to go. Right. Good evening, Dreadeye. I'll give them a minute or so just to filter in before I start my monologue. That seems to be the tradition now. I start my monologue and then we'll discuss the movie. Different choice this week because I'd actually never seen the movie either, so it was quite good. But yeah,
I've heard of it before, but never ventured kind of into it. I know Cronenberg's back catalogue of The Usual, but for some reason I didn't see A Dangerous Method, but I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's go. Here we go. Excuse me. I should prepare myself. Hi, Julie. Right, here we go. Let me tell you about A Dangerous Method, a film that shows what happens when brilliant minds collide and a passionate woman gets caught in the crossfire. Directed by David Cronenberg in 2011, this psychological drama delves into the complicated relationship between Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, the founding fathers of psychoanalysis. This film's visual quality is nothing short of spectacular. Shot on 35mm Kodak film, there's a richness and depth that today's digital cameras or today's digital processing with their multi-megapixels and over-processed sheen simply can't match. The cinematography serves as more than just a pretty backdrop. It creates an atmospheric foundation that allows the powerful performances to truly shine. Hats off to Sushitsky, the DP, who collaborated on quite a number of Cronenberg movies. And the only one I would pull him up on in this movie is the on-ship scenes. They were oddly out of character and jarring, almost as if they were afterthoughts. Michael Fassbender portrays Jung with a quiet intensity that's simply quite captivating to watch. His portrayal of Jung's internal conflict between professional ethics and personal desires is masterfully done. Dare I say it, Denis Villeneuve, I'm looking at you here. This is looking done right. Viggo Mortensen as Freud brings a charismatic authority to every scene, stealing them with a subtle performance. And Vincent Cassel as Otto Gross is memorably serpentine, even a tad Machiavellian in his role as a boundary-pushing influence on Jung. Well, let's be honest here. It's Keira Knightley who delivers a knockout performance. While some critics found her portrayal of Sabina Spielrein's hysteria in earlier scenes to be over the top, I found it to be brave, shocking, and utterly compelling. She transforms from a tormented patient to a brilliant psychoanalyst with remarkable skill, showing a depth and range that's been underappreciated. For those who have dismissed her as the poor UK version of Natalie Portman, this film should put that nonsense to rest. I admit, I was completely captivated by her incredible performance, and she certainly deserved more accolades than a Saturn for Best Actress. Was the Academy sleeping for this performance? The narrative centres on Jung's treatment of Sabina using Freud's talking cure, what we now call psychotherapy. It was considered a dangerous method at the time. Through their therapeutic relationship, Jung helps Sabina confront her childhood trauma and masochistic tendencies. As she heals, she begins assisting Jung and eventually studies to become a psychoanalyst herself. The film doesn't shy away from showing how Jung crosses the professional boundaries by beginning an affair with Sabina, which also becomes one of the catalysts that drives the eventual split between Jung and Freud. Their intellectual differences, Jung's interest in mysticism versus Freud's insistence on scientific rigour and sexual theory, further drive their separation. Cronenberg, who previously tackled unfilmable material like The Naked Lunch, brings remarkable restraint to this movie. Unlike his earlier body horror films, for instance Existence, Videodrome, The Fly, here he lets ideas do the shocking, letting the intellectual conflicts play out through excellent dialogue and performance. The film is admirably subtle, focusing on the theories and ideals that would shape psychology for generations. A Dangerous Method is a thoughtful, impressive study of the birth of psychoanalysis. And while some might find it talky or too intellectually dense, those willing to engage with it will discover a rich, rewarding experience. It's a film about ideas that manages to be deeply human, exploring how even brilliant minds can be undone by their own psychological blind spots. Is it perfect? No. No film is. But does it deserve more recognition than it received, particularly for Knightley's performance? Absolutely. For those interested in psychology, history, or simply excellent filmmaking, this is indeed essential viewing. End. There we go. That was my thoughts on it.
Strongest review, yeah.
Yeah,
great stuff, John.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed it, considering it really is a talky movie, you know.
It satisfied your ardent skepticism, and you were looking for signs like within the movie as well, yeah.
Yeah, well, it started with, I mean, as you know, it starts with Knightley getting carted off to the, what one would term in common parlance, the loony bin, yeah.
Very dramatic opening, actually.
It is pretty dramatic. And I just, from that point, she caught me up and immersed me in this movie. It was really her that drove it from the point of view of a performance I thought was just breathtaking. And the visuals, and it makes such a difference when you see visuals like this that are captured properly and designed for display on the big screen. Because if you think about Netflix and Amazon Prime and these modern streaming services, although these studios are making their own content, they know that an awful lot of the people watching their stuff is watching it on, phones or tablets or even watches, and they concentrate on close-ups and people talking rather than action and expanse, and it makes such a big difference when you look at what can be achieved with good filmmaking. I was blown away in so many levels. The only thing that let me down, I think, were as I said, the scenes on the ship. They just seemed contrived and not right, especially when they were going into New York, because that was obviously green screen or front projection or something. Yeah, that was poor. But other than that, the cinematography was top notch. So yeah, I'm gushing a bit. I think it was a brilliant movie. I really do.
Great.
I've never seen him this emotional.
What did you think of it, Sean?
Honestly, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's tackling parts of psychology and its early development, and like you're mentioning, and also has a continuing sort of dynamic between a doctor and a patient, which I found actually very interesting. And in the beginning scene, I was actually quite intrigued by like what was happening, and also Keira Knightley's performance, because and this part maybe going off a bit, but it made me sort of like wonder, like her whole movements and stuff like that. It is like how some patients were described, and some having like disabilities back in the day, and sometimes those were mistaken for going insanities and all that stuff. Before proper psychological treatment was administered or at least studied. So I found that part interesting, and seeing her sort of development from someone who was very fragile to someone who's a bit more clear thinking in a way, and her sort of relationship with the doctor was like, it had me kind of on my seat. I was like, oh my god, is this going where I think it's going? No, he's your doctor, don't. No. No,
I think what
sorry.
we want to know, John, is Sean, did you enjoy the spanking?
I kind of felt like I felt weird to watch like this movie because like in those certain like obviously it's natural, there's sometimes 16s in some movies, and but I just like this is Elizabeth Swann. It's like, oh, like my goodness me.
Did you feel like you were a voyeur? Did you?
What now?
A voyeur, a peeping Tom, as you saw those scenes. No,
it did feel a bit weird, seeing this actress, in those sort of like scenes, because I know them from other films, that aren't like this. So seeing any actor like this is a bit odd, but it's still a pretty good performance, I would say.
Yeah.
And her and the doctor's dynamic is something that I really found interesting in the film, especially as it kept going on. And I liked also his sort of overgrowing rivalry with his sort of with his superior doctor,
his mentor, if you will.
His mentor. That's the word. Where his mentor about how there's also some things that can't be so explained so easily. It's something that's like her sort of give to sort of interpret these sort of things.
Yeah.
The sort of mysticism in it, and I do think that's actually an interesting point because sometimes like you have to like. Obviously, many things could be explained scientifically, but there's just some things that are really hard to explain, like just like there and that, and it should be taken a closer look at, because there could be an actual scientific explanation for that, possible latent psychic abilities,
possibly.
Which is kind of ironic, given that the main doctor, he plays Magneto, and his best friend in another film is Professor X, who's a fellow psychic.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of weird seeing him in that sort of role as well. I think his performances. I think the main two, were definitely my favorites of the performance. I did think that some parts are skipped ahead of it, because it felt like one minute she was a bit, more fragile, and then suddenly she was a bit more, what's the word? Tame, fine,
stable.
Stable. I thought we would see a bit more progression, but it was more like like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the end, I was actually, okay, so she's married to someone else now, and she's having a child. Okay, yeah, those two have really messed up on some things, but hopefully he'll live happily now. And then I saw the credits, and like I did not realize this was like I think I've forgotten that you told me this was based on a true story, and they told me some things that happened to the actual real life people, and I'm like, oh god,
yeah.
Yeah, killed by Nazis.
Yeah. And her and her two daughters shot.
I know, flipping hell.
In 1941, I think it was, by Hitler's SS. What do you think, David?
Here's a little something I prepared earlier, chaps.
Oh, good. Let's sit back and enjoy.
It's never a patch on yours, John.
Oh,
never a patch, but it's a little something.
You are my Padawan.
You are Sigmund Freud, and I am Carl Gustav Jung, basically.
You're sleeping with your patient?
So, A Dangerous Method is a cerebral exploration into the lives of prominent figures in the early history of psychoanalysis. It's a slow burner with its pacing, but it delivers bucket loads in terms of a beautiful location, set designs, and interior shots. And of course, who can forget the strong character portrayals of our ménage à trois, namely Freud, Jung, and Spielrein, or Spielrein, if you want to say it like that. It was very refreshing to see David Cronenberg take a backseat from his catalogue of mind-bending and other macabre material to deliver something intellectual, intense, and opulent. You don't have to be interested nor a graduate of psychology to appreciate this film. As I mentioned in the last review, and maybe some other reviews, sometimes it's best to sit back, relax, smoke on a cigar or a pipe, and pour a fine glass of wine or cognac, and allow yourself to be immersed in an even finer period drama or historical drama. That is something that Cronenberg and A Dangerous Method, along with its strong cast, achieved for me, and I'm sure for a great deal of other people. But seriously, hello, Oscars, what the heck were you smoking not giving this film an award or 3?
Thank you.
That's me.
The Oscars, like they do not know good entertainment when even if it smacks them right in the face.
I don't know what happened, but this was a much overlooked movie. I mean, it did get a few awards and accolades, but they were, like from the Canadian Film Board and things like that. What were the Academy thinking? I really don't know. But I think you pretty much hit it on the nail, David. A surprising entry from Cronenberg, I must admit. Totally surprising. If you were given that as a set of movies, and you had to watch some of Cronenberg's movies, you'd never pick that as one of them, would you? Really? No.
It was just so enjoyable to see the likes of such a well-renowned director for specific, as you said, John, like body horror genres and other macabre, kind of taking a back seat in this and doing a quote-unquote like straight drama. And one thing that I really appreciated about this is that there were some particular scenes, especially in the first kind of interrogation, interview, or therapy scene with Spielman and Jung, where I thought to myself, gosh, this would actually be, you could transition this entire production to a theater setting. It would actually sell out in theaters. Yeah. It would be a great Broadway or West End production. Granted that the actors would have to work even harder, but I think it will be fantastic. And I hope that's something that may have occurred, or it could occur in the future. It would be a very strong contender for stage. It would really hold up, and it wouldn't be that hard for them to pull off. But I really enjoyed the acting, like you chaps did. And yes, absolutely, Keira Knightley is a winner in this. I believe that she fundamentally had the hardest job here with her character portrayal. I wasn't blown away, but I was deeply impressed, because there must have been any committed actor such as Fassbender or Viggo Mortensen or indeed Keira Knightley. There'd be a huge amount of research and practical preparation to be able to portray such a role as this type of dysphoric patient, and she did a really great job with it. And it seems like that it's very difficult for actors to do that and to do it right. You need to do a lot of preparation, and she did great with that. And one thing I appreciated about her character moving forward was that yes, she did get better, but what I noticed throughout the movie until the end is that she still had fractals of her former self that she carried with her. I believe that, yes, in a way, she healed trauma, but I don't think she was ever fully healed to a degree. And she carried that really well throughout the movie with her overall characterization. So I picked up on all these subtleties and nuances, and there were a lot of them in the movie, which I'm sure we're going to get into.
Yeah. I mean, and the lass can't half gun, can't she? I mean, at one point, at one point, you think it was she was doing a recreation of the xenomorph. Her face was that distorted. Yeah, well, yeah.
Rachel Ziegler.
But yeah, it was. I just, as I said, I just found the whole thing quite captivating. It was, and the other thing is, Cronenberg, for me, achieved way more with Fassbender's looking than Villeneuve ever managed in any of these two Dune movies. Because, the Dune movies, they spend a lot of time gazing into the sand. But Fassbender just seemed, you could see that he was lost in his own thinking, when he's sitting there with the 1,000-yard stare or whatever. You could see he was just totally lost and totally thinking up. And that's a difficult thing to portray, I would say. It's not just a question of sitting there with glazed eyes. It's your whole being has to believe it, I think, to get that across on film.
Yeah, it was a very typical Fassbender. Like he did absolutely fantastic, and especially Viggo Mortensen as well. Of course, Keira Knightley took the lead in terms of her character portrayal. The bulk of the work was on her, but it was a typically strong Fassbender delivery for me. Hearing his quintessential kind of British English as well. It's like, oh right, he's back in as David in Prometheus and in Alien kind of Covenant, but overall his portrayal was great.
He was actually born in Germany.
He's German-Irish.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there. Yeah.
He doesn't really call himself German, but he was born there.
Yeah. That is true. And Viggo, just to add in very quickly, Viggo Mortensen, he's been in quite a few of Cronenberg's movies. And I think one thing that Mortensen, he's a very good actor. And one thing that he has achieved is that he has always portrayed himself as that individual different character. He's done very well with his character portrayals in the other Cronenberg movies. And he was really good. He was really good in his portrayal of Sigmund Freud. I very much enjoyed our menage a trois of actors in this production.
Yeah. It was very much impressive. What about Vincent Cassel?
Thank you. I knew
Otto
his face.
Gross.
I completely forgot. I completely forgot his name, but I've been speaking a lot. I just want to. I want to throw the baton over to Sean. Sean, do you want to jump in about anything?
Not really, because it's really hard trying to pinpoint things to say about it, because it's not typically the movie I would see in general. So I'm not really used to trying to pinpoint things I personally would like in this sort of film. But like I said, the performance I thought was very good, and also the scenery looked very nice. And this is all made in 2011, right? Yeah, it came out in 2011. So I thought it was very good. And like I said, it's also interesting that some people would do some nude scenes, especially like if they are already established. It's one thing to do it the other way around. I heard that, but I think it's pretty interesting.
And the thing about the nudity, I don't think it was at all gratuitous. No. It was quite understated, actually, in a lot of cases.
Because Cronenberg is renowned for absolutely going full on with his other body horror productions. With
like
sex
The Fly.
And nudity and Crash and the other ones.
Yeah. He has an extensive and eclectic cabinet of body horror.
Oof.
Yeah.
But yes, back to Vincent Cassel. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Very good portrayal. Very, very good, actually, as kind of secondary support, a secondary principal. I was very impressed with Vincent Cassel in general. Yeah, he's a strong actor. He is that face that you will remember. It's like, I know that guy, and I completely forgot his name. As Otto, there was a really great moment. I'm not sure whether both you chaps picked up on this, where it was an external shot, and Cassel, they were outside against a wall talking. Yeah. It was actually one of their final conversations before Otto tried to top himself, or unalive himself, I should say. Yeah. Sorry, YouTube. And there was something that appeared to me. It was that there was a kind of a good and evil aspect to this. It's like Otto's character became this sort of, I wouldn't say kind of maybe demonic, but
he's a devil on your shoulder. He really is.
That's what I was just about to say, because Otto was wearing kind of this quite dark, or it was black clothing, and you had Carl Jung was dressed in this lighter or almost white clothing, and that became apparent to me straight away, is that you basically had the devil on your shoulder right beside you, but going, wouldn't you just let out your frustration, Carl? And it was very interesting portrayal.
Yeah, he was like the snake in the Garden of Eden story. Just like tempting.
Exactly, Sean. You got it. Exactly. You got it.
And quite interesting that someone like Jung could be swayed by someone he was actually supposed to be treating. So it does show that. He was manipulated by Otto, and there's no doubt about it. And there's no doubt about it that although these two men are obviously quite brilliant, or were quite brilliant for their time, they are, in some respects, like the rest of us, just fumbling about in the dark when it comes to the machinations of the human mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm trying to remember. Like, was there like a point where they said like playing God? Because that actually, like, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
that
what's his name? Freud said that because
because
Jung's case was he always wanted to cure his patients. Freud merely, well, not merely, but Freud mainly just explained what was going on with them, whereas Jung wanted to go beyond the explanation and to find a cure to help these people, and that's where Freud said, "Are we supposed to play God?" Or something like that.
Like, is that something that's I find interesting? Because like some people say like man, gods are fallible, and so it's like people who are meant to like psychiatrists and like they are fallible too, which really helps with the whole Jung being tempted by his primordial desires for his patient. So I think that's really, really fitting, and especially like what we said about like Otto, right? Otto sort of enticing him to the idea and being like the snake on his shoulder.
I think that was also what I think John was alluding to, is that was the conflict, which is well documented. I know there were some aspects of dramatic license that were taken in this film. Not everything was 100%. Accurate.
Not everything was like letter to letter.
Exactly.
Is that the phrase, or like step by step, or?
Yeah, but there definitely is well documented and known factually based conflict that erupted between these two great minds of psychoanalysis, and it's very interesting what you said, John. Is that not that they were polar opposites, but I think what Jung was exploring really made or contributed to Freud feeling kind of quite insecure by these kind of like new versions. But his fears were justified. It's that we're just going to be shunned by the rest of the community. Our careers will be in tatters. Like, you really need to be careful here. In a way, it kind of reminds me, and I'm going to be very careful about saying this on YouTube as well, is with, in one sense, you could represent Jung as like non-allopathic in terms of kind of treatment and medicine, and analogize Freud as allopathic. It's just take your meds, take your pills, and this is what the problem is. Whereas Jung, of course, he was more holistic and non-allopathic. He was kind of how would you call it? He was anti-reductionist, whereas Freud was the materialist, or so to speak, and it was just all about sexual repression and sexuality, and that's all there is to it. So quite restricted or constricted there. Whereas Jung, wanted to treat the individual as a whole, which is a fundamental part of non-allopathic medicine and other alternative modalities that are out there. So it was interesting watching that, because I was thinking about those things and how they apply today in our modern world.
It was quite a good movie, and not too long. It didn't labor the point. It got the message across, and it didn't go into unnecessary trivia, which was always good, because sometimes a movie can go too long. Especially that kind of movie where you're trying to make a point but really don't have a point to make in some respects, because you know what happened. Basically they fell out, and I think Otto, he actually did manage to complete his attempts, so he did unalive himself, as they say. And Jung, no, Freud died. He died of
cancer.
And I think Jung, he didn't die until 1961.
Yeah, he lived beyond his he lived past his he lived
past his wife
and mistress.
Mistresses.
His next mistress, like goodness sakes, son. You have children.
It's like, but was that the done thing? Because I mean, they lived obviously in Germany / Austria, and was that the done thing? Because they kept alluding to the fact that the gossip was all about, you have taken a new mistress, It's like everybody seemed to know what everybody else was doing. But then again, it was a smaller world, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There's some funny moments as well, whereas they were bitching on about. I think it was Jung was bitching on about Freud to Spielman, saying, "Oh well, to paraphrase, was that well, it's all about it's all about sex for Freud. Well, because he gets none, or so to speak. That's why he's so
kids."
So yeah, and that's it. It's like he's so obsessed with it because he doesn't get any more. Like perhaps there was great pieces of dialogue kind of smattered throughout the movie. Some really nice quotes as well towards the end. There was one especially where we had Spielman, and she was heavily pregnant at the time, and she was sitting alongside Carl Jung. And there was this quote I was looking for kind of in between when you guys were talking. It was something about the way he referred to his wife and then Spielman as the perfume or something like that. There was this wonderful quote towards the end. So I really liked the dialogue that was chosen. But how it was written, I think it was Christopher Hampton was the screenwriter for this. So really good job, Mr. Hampton.
2 screenwriters. I think there was another one as well.
Possibly.
Can't remember his name off the top of my head. My apologies to him if I've done him a disservice. But yeah, the writing was pretty much on point. I think I couldn't complain about anything there either. As you said, it was eloquent. It fitted the period. It was just a damn good movie. It really was.
Wasn't the setting just so beautiful? Like the backdrops, the natural settings, and the interior shots and the studies as well. I absolutely loved it. Imagine having one of those studies to reside in, pouring yourself like a nice drink, or just having a cup of tea, and stuffing your pipe with some fine tobacco. And
Freud's study in particular.
Yeah,
it just looked so comfortable, didn't it? Yeah, and it would smell slightly of old tobacco and whiskey or cognac.
Yeah, you would have these deep conversations with your paternalistic, mentor as well about the human mind. It was just so, as I used that word earlier, opulent. It smacked of opulence. It was very nice.
Even a tad decadent, perhaps. Yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. What would you give it, Sean, out of 10?
Honestly, I only just seen it, so I still need to think about a bit more about where clearly I would put it. But honestly, I would say a 6 out of 10.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
How dare you?
Yeah, you got to remember he's a different baseline from us, David. What would be yourself then?
Well, to be honest,
I'm joking.
Out of all the films we've seen so far, it goes like the last picture show. What was your one, David?
Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter. So Deer Hunter.
Transformers 1.
No. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry again. Okay.
Last picture show. Deer Hunter.
Dangerous Method. Deer Hunter, and then Transformers 1.
Yeah.
So you like the last picture show the least? Yeah.
I'm being honest. I'm being perfectly honest.
No, that's fine. But hey,
it was a slow burner though, Sean. Like it takes time to really get into it and appreciate it. Similar to like Last Picture Show, but even more so this, because of
I still liked it more than the Last Picture Show, so that's good.
Yeah, I'll channel my kind of inner Mark Kermode, because Mark went to film school and he knows very well about pacing and the clap in between scenes and timing, and the pacing was lovely. It really breathed like throughout the movie. So this is really like a Mark Kermode like movie. I'm sure he was gushing in the same way John was, but the pacing was lovely. The pacing was lovely, and you have to be patient with it. It really pulls you in. It helps you to focus. It helps you to kind of to concentrate and to really appreciate the just the great acting and the background settings and interior shots and things like that. Yeah.
No, it was cool. So what was your score?
Oh, mine. I would give it a 9. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
I would give it a 9. There was some dramatic license taken in certain areas. I had to do a little bit of research after it because in also in that scene with the quote about the perfume towards the end, with Spielman and Jung sitting outside, and Jung is kind of quite lost. He's not feeling himself. He mentioned about he spoke a lot about his dreams. Of course, this was Jung, and he spoke about this so-called premonition that he had about water gushing down and then it turning into blood, like in Europe. It's like he had this premonition or this precognition of the upcoming First World War. Like, lest we forget that this kind of historical drama or period piece was filmed in the early 1900s, so we hadn't even gotten into the First World War yet. But apparently, there's nothing documented to say that that factually, yes, he spoke of this particular like premonition. But I like that. I like those moments of dramatic license that were kind of taken by the director and the screenwriters, where they could kind of have that like within the movie. That was nice, but a very strong and enjoyable 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool.
So what about you, John? What would you rate it?
I was leaning towards an 8.5 maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong, that was a brilliant movie, but as David's pointed out, there were some discrepancies in it and some gaps, not in the factual side of things, just in how certain things were portrayed. But it would be churlish to call them out. But ultimately,
give us an example, John, such as give us,
Well,
yes, give us
the
examples.
thing that keeps coming back to me is the appalling job they did on the boat.
The CGI, it was a bit cheap, wasn't it?
It was just appalling.
Yeah, it was a bit cheap.
And it in some respects, it spoiled the tone of the movie around that part, and it took it's maybe just me, but it wrenched me from what I was really enjoying into that this is just a movie. And then it managed to catch me and bring me back in. But when I watch a movie, I want to be immersed. I don't want to be ripped out. I don't want to have to think about, things that are going on outside the world or whatever. I expect to be maintained in that space. And I think that's where the Deer Hunter and the Last Picture Show really kept me, Whereas that scene, it just I can't forgive him. I can't. No, I didn't spoil it, but I can't forgive him for doing it because
they cut corners.
Yeah, they cut corners, and it's just unfortunate, So, and that's why I've landed on an 8.5.
There was that just mentioning about the when their entry onto the onto the ship. There was that great moment where where they went their separate ways to the different classes, and it's from Jung to Freud. He basically said, "Sorry, peasant, I've got a first class ticket because my uber rich wifey got it for me. So ta-ta, I'm off to first class."
Yeah,
I don't think Freud enjoyed that.
That was really the beginning of the end of the relationship, wasn't it?
Oof.
Yeah. You could see he was seething at that. Yeah, and I think that's why the boat scene was in it, because there was no real reason for them to go to America. Well, they went to America, but other than them going to America, there was no real reason to show us that. It was all about their interplay on that boat, and that again brings me back to why cheapen it when it was so critical to the breakup of the disillusion of the relationship,
Yeah, I think that was one of the strongest points about this movie. It wasn't essentially just about psychotherapy, psychoanalysis. Of course, that was an important part that weaved throughout the tapestry of the movie, but it was the complexity, the relationships, the complexity of their lives alongside psychoanalysis, and then the kind of the clinician versus the the patient relationship, and the fragilities of that, and mistakes can happen, and that, like, for example, therapists, they also need other therapists to help them keep on, to stay on track, and the conflicts that's involved when you put the likes of, so Jung put the likes of Freud on such a paternal type of like pedestal.
Yeah,
it had such a huge influence on his life. And it must have been so difficult for Jung to have that conflict with such a father-like figure as well. So there was so many kind of complexities that were woven into the movie as well. It was quite deep, quite deep.
It was indeed. It was indeed. So, have we anything else we wish to discuss about it?
Sean, how about you, Sean? Anything else?
Honestly, I can't really think of anything else. I think you guys basically took all the stuff for it. Took all the juicy stuff.
I don't think that Keira Knightley was I think I know what you mean, John, but yeah, I don't know who or what called her a second rate like Natalie Portman. I would actually
that'd be me.
Keira.
That would just be me, because that's how I used to think of Keira Knightley.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would rate her. I would rate her. I would rate her higher.
Oh yeah,
Portman.
I do, and it wasn't just this movie that moved her up in my esteem, because I watched that movie where she portrayed the GCHQ operative. I keep forgetting her name. The one that Catherine Gunn. Yes, and that was a brilliant movie, absolutely brilliant.
Who's still alive, by the way, and she gives talks. Catherine Gunn.
And that was that the Labour government before Iraq?
Official secret. So it was a Labour government.
That's
it was
right.
Official secrets, and she was working as a translator for GCHQ. I watched that. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. And another good one, if you chaps are interested in checking out a little bit more of Fassbender. This movie was made a couple of years ago. He plays a hitman in a movie called The Killer, and I would recommend that. Okay. It's called The Killer. It's I think it's under 2 hours, but I would highly recommend people check out Fassbender in his role as a hitman. It's very good. Very good.
I'll give that a look.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite Keira Knightley role was definitely her role in Pirates of the Caribbean. I think she really did well in those movies, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean was a fun flick, It didn't involve a lot of thinking, and it didn't certainly stretch your credibility. Well, it stretched your credibility, but it didn't.
There are some good moments. There is one deleted scene that I think they should have kept in the third movie that would have added much more depth to things. So, but honestly, they're still pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay.
What's our next movie?
What is our next movie? I should say. So it's between you and Sean, because we'll play it. I don't think we have it as a rule, but we'll play it that if you've had one, then you take a break, for at least a week before you enter the fray again.
So you take a break then?
I'll take yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you two suggest, and I'll put the poll. Well, there's only 3 people left. Good grief. They've deserted us in droves tonight. I don't know why. But anyway.
Just one of those evenings.
Right,
hello, troll room.
All right, David. Here's a choice. You either keep the one you had last week, or you pick something new.
You go ahead, Sean. What are you going to choose? What are you going to put forward?
Well, my original idea was to watch Godzilla 1998. Now you guys can either keep that, and we put that into the vote, or you could pick something. Okay, pick me to change it, and you won't know what it is. Or you're gonna take that risk, boys. You both have to agree.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Doctor Strangelove, because it's a movie that I've heard so much about. It's highly rated, and yes, I've never seen it before, and I would love to see it. So I'm going to stick with Doctor Strangelove.
All right,
what about you, Sean?
Now you two. Do you want me to change, or do you want me to stay?
YouTube's not going to tell you, because we don't have enough people on. It's up to you.
I'm trying to do a game show thing. Here, come on.
Yeah, well, what do you want?
Whichever you like, Sean. Whichever you like.
You have. I will choose between two. Like, do you want me to stay with Godzilla, or if you both want me to change? If you both say yes, change, then we go to something else I pick, but you won't know what it is. So, do you want to open the box?
Oh, right.
I say open the box.
Yeah,
Feel
open the box.
fear.
Open the box.
Oh, so okay. So that
right?
You're both saying yes.
You don't. No, maybe not, because he was talking to me about a movie earlier.
Oh no,
it's not going to be that one, is it?
Depends which one you mean. Do you want to open the box?
Yeah, open the box. What the hell?
Open the box, Sean. Open the box.
All right. A while ago, you mentioned you never seen The Lion King.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You don't want to open the box. I gave you warnings. David, did I not give him warnings?
I should have not opened the box.
John wants to close that box and nail it down now.
Right. Okay, The Lion King. Right. Okay.
Yes, the original Lion King.
Okay, let's see. Start poll. So, people of the internet, you have the choice to vote now, regardless of which stream you're on. So your votes will be counted and taken into account. You make the decision. How many people have we got on the article? 2, I think. Oh, well, that's something. At the moment, if you want to make a choice, I think you've got to be a subscriber, though, to enter the chat. But hey, we can chat for 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and we'll see if we can come up with. Oh, so far we have some votes in, and Dr. Strangelove is taking an early lead.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Easy there, Johnny boy. You don't know what happened next.
Is this the 1992 or is it 1995 when the original Lion King animation by Disney came out? When was it?
Yeah, I think it was 1992. I'll see when it came out. It's the original. So. It's not a live action remake.
Okay.
Although I would say, like, if we did the watching the Lion King, watching the live action would be like extra credit. You don't have to do it. I myself would watch both and then like talk about the first film and also how
Have you seen the Lion King, David?
Oh, long time ago. If it was out in 1992, I think 2 years later then
1994.
1994. Okay, I think that was the year that Independence Day by Roland Emmerich was released, because I remember when I was living in Ireland at the time, I was so hyped about ID4.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It just blew me away as a teenager. I think I went to see it. I went because it was really cheap to go to our multiplex. We did this amazing 12-screen multiplex in Dublin where I was living. I went to see Independence Day at least 4 or 5 times. I loved the special effects and the sound. It was amazing. It was so good.
Well, see, what I was doing back then was not existing. It was 2 years before I was born.
Yeah, I liked Independence Day as well. I thought it was a good laugh. It was a good laugh, and it still stands up. It still stands up to a degree.
What else still stands up? That was released in 1998. Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers. The CGI and the puppetry in that is really, really good. I watched it at some point last year, one evening. I really enjoyed it. It's still great.
I just love the whole thing. Service qualifies you for citizenship. Do you want to know more?
Yeah.
I just love the whole premise that's behind it, how everything is set up, and the way they kept throwing in those little adverts and things. It's just absolutely brilliant the way it's done. And very,
very typical Verhoeven style. Yeah, he did that with RoboCop to a degree as well.
Yeah, he did. But the second one was just complete and utter rubbish.
Was it rubbish? That's a shame.
Not RoboCop. I don't know about RoboCop, but the second Starship Troopers was rubbish.
Was it rubbish?
Yeah. The first one was brilliant, especially with the love triangle thing. With the 2 girls, and you could, the one that it was the standard Hollywood love story. The one girl loves him, and he wants the one he can't have. My
favorite scene in the first RoboCop movie, which is just it's just seminal. It's an absolute classic by Paul Verhoeven. And it was RoboCop's first entrance in the police station, where you just hear this whizzing and the buzzing and the heavy footsteps come in. It literally just comes in, it bleeds in, and everyone just starts turning around. All of those like reactions. That was one of the best scenes in that movie, actually.
Yeah.
I remember doing like a small little radio review for that back when I was in college. It was a project for me and other people in my media course. We were doing a review on, like, we had decided on like what movies to do, and one of the things we did was decide to watch the original RoboCop and also the more modern remake one.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'd say both have their merits. You know, I like.
I think Verhoeven's the best movie Verhoeven's done, though, has got to be Total Recall.
Never seen that.
Oh,
you've never seen Total Recall? You got to watch the 1990 one.
Yeah,
you know, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael Ironside.
Yeah, Michael Ironside. Yeah, Viper.
Yeah. Sean, you're missing out on so much good stuff. Total Recall, and then there's Scarface and Heat and all of these amazing movies of the 80s. The 80s were just golden, and the early 90s.
Heat was just incredible. Michael Mann movie, I think, was it?
Yeah.
Because it was shot like a Miami Vice video, wasn't it? Well, Miami Vice, the TV show, was just like it was like a series of music videos every week, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was Michael Mann as well.
When did Rush Hour come in? You know, because I saw
Rush
that
Hour.
film, and Rush Hour.
97, 98 possibly, or was it? Maybe early 2000s?
Rush Hour. Tucker and Jackie Chan.
Oh, it was early 2000s, possibly. Late 90s, early 2000s.
Speaking of which, are there any Jackie Chan movies you guys like?
Actually, the last one that I saw him in, I saw it probably about 2 years ago. I think it's called The Foreigner, you know, where he's based in Northern Ireland. And he's on the hunt for terrorists. I think it's called The Foreigner. Have you guys seen that?
I've not seen that. Rush Hour was 98.
Let me have a check.
1998 was Rush Hour.
Foreigner.
I'm trying to think what else I've seen him in, because obviously there was Rush Hour, but that was like something more recently I saw. There was that old film I really liked, The Medallion. I think is that what it's called? But my main introduction to him was that cartoon series Jackie Chan Adventures, because that was one of my favorites.
Yes, the Foreigner was released in 2017, directed by Martin Campbell, and he also directed, I think, a couple of the Bond movies also. But The Foreigner with Jackie Chan is well worth a watch. He's very good in that.
So that's two movies: The Foreigner and The Killer.
Oh yeah, he was also in Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah,
he was what?
The Foreigner and The Killer as well.
Yeah. What were you saying, Sean? He was what?
Oh yeah, I was looking at all Jackie Chan movies, and he's actually in Kung Fu Panda. He's Monkey.
Yeah, okay.
He still counts as a role.
I wouldn't call myself a great fan of Jackie Chan, really. Yeah. Although I did in the day like some of the old Hong Kong movies. You know, the old Hong Kong kung fu movies.
Amazing.
It's called A Medallion.
They used to churn stuff out left, right, and center. It was incredible the amount they used to churn out.
I think the South Koreans have taken the baton. With that, they churn out a lot of stuff now as well. They've got a huge movie industry over there.
Yeah. Because that's where Parasite came from, wasn't it? I've not seen that either.
I have. And, you know, very briefly, like a lot of people were absolutely like raving about it. I thought it was really, really good, but like I was not gushing about it. I was not gushing about it, but I thought it was a very good watch. It was a very good watch.
Yeah.
Definitely one to review.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys like any? Oh, okay.
Sorry, go on. Right. No, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask, like, what are some of your favorite comedy films?
Comedy.
Yes. Something that just generally makes you laugh, and you just makes you happy.
Recent ones or
any, like older ones, recent ones.
Well, I tell you one movie that I couldn't stop laughing at was when I watched it, and I was in the cinema, and it was getting embarrassing because I couldn't stop laughing. Was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was It was getting
That one was
Absolute
sad.
embarrassing.
classic.
That one always makes me sad.
What, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes,
Why?
because of baby ant.
So, yeah, okay. Whatever.
Because it dies.
Okay. Yeah.
It always makes me sad.
I think classics like the Naked Gun, like for me, that kind of era as well. Leslie Nielsen and
yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, for me, like I would say definitely like The Hangover. I love that movie and the sequel. Not really a big fan of the third one, but I enjoyed the first two.
Yeah.
Dread Eye. I don't know if Dread Eye's seen Saw 10 was very, very good.
Are these funny movies or just horrors?
What?
Horrors.
Yeah, but why is Dread Eye saying Saw?
I was confused what he was like talking about. Like, wait, what? Saw?
No, Saw 10 is actually probably the best.
I've never seen any of the Saw movies. Never.
Johnny.
My God, they're like Sharknado. There's so many of them.
I haven't seen any of those either.
Yeah, Sharknado is just. I saw the first one. I was just like,
the original Police Academy was good, Joey. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, Police Academy. That was a funny movie.
After that, you can forget it. But
I still have a bit of a thing for Callahan.
Yeah,
top chick
really?
with the glasses. Yeah. Well, back in the day, I did. I was like, oh, beautiful.
What's her name? Kim Cattrall. Bloody hell, she was in it, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Lassie.
She was
Lassie from Porky's.
Kim Cattrall was in like Kirstie Alley. Kim Cattrall were both in the earlier Star Trek movies with Shatner as well. They were looking very, very nice.
Are we still talking about comedies, or are we talking about actresses?
Oh, we just moved on.
Porky's, that was funny as well. The original. So you missed all these juvenile coming of age movies. I mean, some of them were brilliant. Remember the Warriors and the Wanderers?
The Warriors, was that 1977? The Warriors?
Yeah, and the Wanderers must have been. When was the Wanderers? Because that was a funnier version, but still quite hard hitting.
I remember seeing like American Pie.
Oh
that's funny.
Hold on, the Wanderers.
Oh, Daddy's Home's a funny film.
What's a funny film?
Daddy's Home.
Yeah, it was fairly humorous. I would give you that.
The
Wanderers was 19. Yeah, the Wanderers was 79. That was a teenage Italian gang in the Bronx, in New York. It's set in 1963 with I think they had to get across the city or something. The Warriors.
Warriors is cool. That was cool. That was like late 70s. I think it was like 77, 78.
The Warriors was 79 as well. Or both the same.
Oh, was it great lines in that as well? You dig it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
It's exactly the same stories almost, because the Warriors is a street gang known as the Warriors must fight its way home from the Bronx to home turf in Coney Island. Yeah,
it's all West Side Story kind of like related stuff, isn't it?
They were both. The Warriors
Jets and Sharks and
the Warriors was more gritty and more realistic, I think, than the old. Than Wanderers, but they were both good for their time.
One that, like, kind of speaking about New York, it's kind of just pivoting back to Carpenter, Escape from New York. That's probably one of those Carpenter movies where I was like, really?
I watched that about 3 weeks ago.
That is, it was good, but I think people like just I think it's a little bit like overrated. I would rate Prince of Darkness so much higher than Escape from like New York. Prince of Darkness is so good. Yeah. It's so cool.
What about Ghosts of Mars?
I was very half-o on that, John.
Yeah.
When it was weak, it was weak. When it was all right, it was
tricky one.
It was all right. You know?
The Fog.
Yeah.
The Fog. That was a good one. Carpenter's got quite an extensive repertoire. And
it's amazing.
remember, a lot of these movies bombed at the box office. Like The Thing didn't do great at the box office at all, but it's not a cult classic.
It only started to do well again in the early 90s with it was I think it was like re-released. I think it was kind of remastered to a degree, and then kind of DVD came along as well. There was this resurgence in the 90s of The Thing, and it started making loads of cash for all those involved. But The Thing is just absolute classic.
What was it? Precinct 13. Was that Carpenter?
Yeah, I think so. Assault on Precinct 13, is it? And Rob Bottin, the guy who did most of the creative special effects, he was only in his very early 20s, Rob Bottin. I did not know until some time ago that he was heavily involved in the SFX for Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone. I saw a clip of him talking about, the head that kind of comes apart and how heavy it was. That was his creation. Rob Bottin is an absolute legend in Hollywood, and what he did on The Thing stands up still today.
Yeah, of course it does. Right, okay, we're going to call it. Thank you for the people that did vote. Appreciate your votes. And it's Dr. Strangelove.
Hey,
by what percentage?
A clean sweep.
Clean sweep? What the fuck? No, so no one...
No one voted.
YouTube.
No one voted for the live.
Past 15 minutes. Seriously?
Joking.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously.
I feel like you rigged it somehow.
I didn't rig it at all.
Nah. No, it wasn't rigged.
It's not rigged. I can show you. Unfortunately, there was only 3 votes, but all of them were for Dr. Strangelove.
Oh God! What's our viewage on this video then?
Well, I don't know until we finish.
Yeah,
but you got to remember as well that a lot of people view after the fact. Is there a football match on tonight? I think there might be a Champions League football match on tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tuesday's early doors as well. So early doors.
I mean, we'll see. We might change the date at some point if it's mutually agreeable to us. We might change when we do it. The only time we won't be doing it is Friday because All In still gathers in the views. So
All In is gold. Yes,
All In's still in the prime spot. Friday night 9:00 seems to be the prime spot for this channel.
Got a rabbit hole for this Thursday, John? What's happening? Rabbit holing or?
I'm not sure what we're doing with the rabbit hole. I've been working on what's working and what's not working, and true crime seems to do a lot better than anything else. So we might pivot the rabbit holes towards true crime. So we'll see.
Niching down, like it. Very
nice.
Well,
the true crime episodes always get a lot more traction than the cryptid, UFOs / conspiracy ones. Apart from Antarctica, people just love Antarctica. You could just put a video up that says Antarctica, and that would be
true crime, missing people.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Great niche.
We'll see. I'll have a bit of a brainstorm where I've got an idea for a couple of things for Thursday. So I'll have a chat with Ed and see what he thinks.
Looking forward to it. Great.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that was a great night. I enjoyed that conversation. I enjoyed that movie. Even though I picked it myself, I picked it blind. So I did enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to seeing Dr. Strangelove. It's been a long time since I've seen any of it. I can't even remember if I watched it all the way through.
Snippets. I've only ever seen snippets. Yeah.
It's black and white, isn't it? So be prepared, Sean.
It is. And it's Stanley Kubrick, and it's Peter Sellers?
Yeah, Peter Sellers plays about 9 roles in it.
Yeah.
So you'll see one actor,
you'll
see one actor and another actor and think that guy looks familiar, and it is because it's the same guy.
Yeah.
But
Peter's masterclass.
In fact, talking about favorite comedy movies, the Pink Panther movies, some of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Pink Panther movies.
I
only really remember
with Peter Sellers. It's not a cartoon. The Pink
No, it's not the
Panther.
cartoon. Like, yeah, the guy. The live action ones, like I remember seeing the second one. I can't remember about the first one though.
What, the Pink Panther's a diamond?
Yes, and
Yeah,
but
right.
in the end credits we actually see the actual Pink Panther from the cartoons.
Yeah, he appeals. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, Peter Sellers was good. He was, and Kato used to jump out and test him in opportune times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Julie says the old Carry On movies, some of the Carry On movies were
Julie said
classics.
about that, yeah.
Yeah. Some of the Carry On movies were classics. Frying tonight. Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's been great for me.
And it's been great for you.
Great.
There we go. That's